Now, if you're joining me from the last video, you know we went ahead and made adjustments in the keyframe editor to the scale parameter. In this video, we're going to make adjustments to the position parameter for the word eco. So if you just look at a RAM preview here, you can see we have Kinet pop up and then eco just sort of appears. So I want to have eco move in a similar fashion to the scale effect that we did, but we'll do it using position, and we'll actually convert this layer to a 3D layer just by clicking this box. And now you notice when I press P to open up my position data, I have a parameter for Z. So it's X, Y, and Z. We'll work backwards just like we did with scale by just moving our playhead a little bit down the timeline here and marking a position keyframe. Let's expand the work area duration just a little bit by dragging to the right and press I to move to the beginning of the layer. Now to see which way this is actually going to move, let's click and drag on the Z parameter, and yes, we want to make an adjustment all the way back by clicking and dragging to the right. Let's actually have this disappear down to around 5,000. There's a slight issue with this, and that's the fact that the anchor point is off to the left-hand side, but I actually kind of like that this is going behind the word Kinet, and really, if I want it behind, I can just drag it underneath Kinet because Kinet is still a 2D layer. So it's just going to sit right on top of eco, thinking that it's actually behind it. And it's going to give us the visual trick that it looks like it's actually peeking out from behind the word. We have our first two keyframes. Let's preview this animation. Okay, that's starting to look pretty cool, but I want eco to kind of bounce out there a little bit. So let's add a third keyframe. I'm going to move my playhead out to the right here, just a few frames past where it was before. And I want this keyframe to be exactly the same as the previous one. And to do that, we'll use this keyframe button here on the left-hand side of the timeline. That added another keyframe, so if we press J, we can move back to our middle keyframe, and let's drag to the left just so it pops out a little bit. So if we scrub through, you can see it's going to pop out and then land. Let's load up a RAM preview again. And that looks pretty cool. I want you to select all the position keyframes by clicking on the word position and open the keyframe editor. Now in here, you'll notice I only have changes along the Z axis. So if we scrub through, you can see I've got kind of a sharp change that's happening here. And that's happening because if we look at our keyframes, these are linear keyframes. So to smooth this out, let's click on this, and instead of clicking ease down here in the lower right, just right-click on it. In here, we could choose Keyframe Assistant, Easy Ease. Now, when we choose Easy Ease, it looks like nothing's really happened here. And something has, if you notice the velocity down here, is going to kind of smooth out. But if you want to see things a little more closely, what you need to do is zoom in. See, if I click on this to the right, it's going to zoom in, and here, if I scroll up in the timeline here, you can see it's kind of made this a little bit larger in the scene, so I can sort of see what's going on. And let's just press the space bar to grab the hand tool and just sort of move our canvas over so we can sort of see what's going on here in our viewer. I want to try and draw handles out from this parameter. And if you hold down Option, it looks like you can click on this and drag out, but you notice nothing's happening here. And that's because these are position keyframes, and they actually have all three parameters, X, Y, and Z, active. In order to actually control the value of an individual parameter with handles, you need to break it out into its own separate value. And the way you do that from within the graph editor is to click this button here in the bottom. Now, when I click on that, notice if I click and drag directly on the keyframe, it just kind of snaps and moves around. That's not what I want to do. Okay, so let's undo that, Command Z. And Now you want to hover over the point and press Alt or Option and click and drag. And now this is going to give you the ability to draw some handles out over this keyframe. Now, one of the things that's interesting about dealing with this is notice I can change how long the handle is or how smooth this change is on one side, but not really match it on the other. If I click back on this side, notice even though they're working in tandem, I still have to kind of adjust if I want the lengths to change. If I wanted this to kind of break apart, here, let's scrub down here so you can see what's happening. It's going down, back across. If I wanted there to be like a sudden change, I could hold down Alt or Option again, but when you click on the handle, it'll actually allow you to make a change independent of the other side. This way, now when it comes up, it's just going to stop rather abruptly and then kind of bounce out. Well, here, let's preview that and you can see. It's kind of okay. It's not exactly what I was looking for, so I'll just drag this handle back down here again. If I hold down Option and click on the handle again, it sort of snaps it back so we're making adjustments like we did before. So now let's preview this animation. And that's pretty cool. That really gives it kind of an organic, sort of realistic bounce. Notice it kind of bounces past and then down again and then sort of wiggles almost like it's in Jello. See, this is kind of one of the things that you want to do when you want your animations to kind of really step up a level. You want to accentuate or over-accentuate the specific moves that they're creating. And a lot of times I find the fastest, easiest way of doing that is by making those changes in the keyframe editor.